This bestiary is looking at a creature from Star Trek Discovery that I'm sure will prompt civil and polite discourse in the comments section below, the giant tardigrade. So, tardigrades are real creatures, microscopic in scale and renowned for their incredible resilience and survivability. However, these creatures are only around 0.5 millimeter in size even when fully grown, whereas the larger Trek one is around 3 meters long. It has a brownish hide with a carapace running down its back, 2 swept back antennae, and 8 stubby legs. Each limb ended in 4 very long and sharp claws. Its head has no traditional eyes, but dislikes high-intensity light, so clearly it has some photoceptors. Their mouth is a ring of muscle with stylets or teeth, which it could use to pierce things, or act as a little vacuum nozzle for feeding. Real tardigrades do not have lungs, and considering this thing can float in space, it's probable that this is the case for the macro tardigrade too. Much of their resilience is due to their protected DNA, as their bodies literally have a protein termed DSUP, or damage suppressant, which protects them from ionizing radiation. Additionally, they can eject most of their body water to dehydrate themselves, curl up, decreasing in size, withdrawing their limbs, all in order to enter a dormant hibernation state where their metabolism drops to 0.01% of its rate, called a ton state. Their outer layer of skin is also very durable, again relative size and all that, and is similar to the materials found in exoskeletons. Scale this up for the larger tardigrade, and that explains the literal plate-like shell segments that make up the top of its hide. This has allowed them to survive all sorts of extreme environments, like space. However, I should highlight the word survive, not thrive. They endure such extremes, they don't prefer them or anything. This survivability carries over to the sci-fi one too, but dialed up to even be resistant to phaser and disruptor fire on the highest settings. The macro tardigrade can also tear through metal and inner bulkheads of starships with ease using its large claws, suggesting that its tough hide can also resist the tears and prods of sheared metal. Not to mention the strength required to force through light duranium sheeting. The musculature of a microscopic tardigrade is all fibres spun throughout its body like a web, and as it lacks a skeleton, that is mostly what gives it its form, which works on such a small scale. The Trek version, however, has a skeletal structure, probably because it's so much larger and therefore needs one. The primarily encountered one was in 2256 and named Ripper for its tendency to do just that. And originally it was incredibly violent, and coupled with its complete resistance to energy weapons, it was able to close in and savage people several times. However, this behaviour was not malevolent in motivation, but merely out of fear. Its level of intelligence seems animalistic, only displaying instinctual behaviour, but analysis of its nervous system and brain may indicate some level of sentience. It also has the ability to commune across layers of subspace, and possibly dimensions, thanks to the strange makeup of its mind. Aside from sharing many traits with its real-world counterpart, the tardigrade of Star Trek has many other abilities, centred around its symbiotic relationship with the mycelial network located in a deep subspace layer. The tardigrade somehow uses horizontal gene transfer, something I don't think occurs in real ones, to absorb genetic material from the Prototaxites stellaviatori fungus that makes up the majority of the network. This connection, established from its grazing habits on said mushrooms, allows it to tap into the same properties that the spores of the fungus possessed. In short, just as the spores of the network were able to drift between this subspace layer and normal space-time, the tardigrade, when amply supplied, could teleport itself into the subspace domain and back out. From here it could navigate through the network and emerge at another point in the same fashion as the spores or even the spore drive. It was this ability to navigate the network that the USS Glenn attempted to utilise, followed by the Discovery when it came to finding a way to successfully plot a course through the network. Such methodology involved abusing the creature to a state of exhaustion, however, and was one of several reasons the spore drive was dropped. But enough about that grim premise. It has been seen to flourish in several natural environments, both within the subspace mycelial plane and wherever in regular space that there is a high concentration of the spores on which it feeds. As the creature itself can simply jump between the realms, it is capable of theoretically appearing anywhere and vanishing again, making encountering them outside of the network a rarity, especially as their high durability and extremophile nature means that they can quite contentedly drift in the vacuum of space for a time. However, as one was found aboard the USS Glenn near its spore reserves, then it is likely that it had a method of locating them, or it was beamed aboard along with spore samples considering its strange DNA structure. These spores were not only a source of food, however, as it was capable of eating many types of the network's flora, including yield tree poison, which it seemed to be immune to. This means that the naturally toxic plant was kept in check within the network by the tardigrade's continual feeding. They were also probably omnivores, likely capable of digesting meat too, so you really don't want to annoy one. They lay clutches of eggs, and if they are anything like real tardigrade eggs, then they can last for a long time in a similar state of hibernation as to the parent, only hatching after an extended gestation. Recently, there are also reports of experimentation that actually quantum entangled a tardigrade, the first living creature to be rendered into such a state. However, this is still under scrutiny, so it's uncertain, but hey, maybe quantum tunneling tardigrades are next up. If we develop realm-shifting tardigrades before warp drive, I'm going to be mad. So that is about it for the tardigrade. The anatomy of the real-life little water bears is amazing, and they are fascinating creatures in general, but like the macrovirus, most of that uniqueness cannot simply be scaled up and still work. Nevertheless, they are fascinating, and that about concludes this video. Thanks again for watching this bestiary, and until the next one, I've been Rick. Goodbye.